Hello, hello. So good to see you today. We are going to be talking about something that it's so integral to all of us. Do you ever start like feeling crappy? You're low energy, all of a sudden your brain feels fuzzy. Maybe you really are super moody. Other things keep coming up, and you just don't know what's going on with you. You're gaining weight. You're trying to eat less calories, but you're still gaining weight. So those are some of the symptoms for sugar addiction. We can also get headaches, migraines, feel gassy, bloaty, so many things. So if these are some of the things that you are experiencing, we're here to solve them, hopefully. Today I am on with diet, health, and lifestyle coach Susan Radway. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of her city. I'll let her do that for you. But she's going to be helping us in solving the problem of sugar addiction, how to break that cycle, how to create a new lifestyle where we feel like we're empowered, we're back in control of ourselves. We don't feel like things are spiraling out of control. Why am I binging? Why am I feeling horrible? Why am I beating myself up? So some of the things we're going to talk about today. So before we get started, I would love for you to share this broadcast and share it with others. Even those of you that will be watching this in the replay, share this broadcast. It's such an important subject. Send us your likes, send us your hearts, and tell us where you're from. So we love to see when people are getting online, and we'd like to know where you're from. Are you a dieter? Are you in phase one? Are you in maintenance? Are you just thinking about the ideal protein protocol? Let us know what's happening for you and your questions. Send all your questions anytime. We'll be addressing them as we go through. And so just keep sending your questions. And so I am going to also let you know that if you want to type yes in the comments section below, you will get an ebook sent to you, which is all of our special occasion tips. So throughout the year, there's no good time to go on a diet ever. So as we go through each holiday, birthday, anniversary, this ebook is going to give you some great tips along the way. So just type yes down below and we will send that to you. So I want to introduce you to Susan, and she is going to be telling us about herself and about her journey and about how she found Ideal Protein. Okay, Susan?
Hello, Renee. How are you?
I'm great.
Let me begin by telling you my journey was long. Before I found Ideal Protein, I had a child in 2000, and about 2001, I was totally debilitated, couldn't move. Every ounce of me hurt. I laid in bed. I had a 6-month-old and a 3-year-old and kept thinking, oh no, this cannot be happening to me. I sought out doctor after doctor after doctor. It took about 18 months for me to gain any mobility to where I really felt good again, to where I was able to at least participate in my own life. But there were 4 months where I literally could barely get out of bed. And thank heaven at the time, my parents were alive and helped me a lot. But I ended up having sarcoidosis. That was the first experience I had with autoimmune. And from there, it kind of just kept going. I have the philosophy that once you have an autoimmune, you kind of fall under an umbrella and you open up the door to a whole lot of things. So ultimately, I was diagnosed with about 6 different autoimmune diseases, from Sjogren's to autoimmune hepatitis C, I had Raynaud's and fibromyalgia, and the list kept going. And I felt terrible and got into a depression. Then throughout the years, I had a little bit of relief where I started working out thinking that was the answer. And I would go to the gym all the time. And I was working with a trainer, and I started rapidly gaining weight and couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And she would look at me every time I'd come in and say I was lying, that my food journal wasn't correct, that I had to be doing something wrong. Well, the reality was I blew out my adrenal gland because I was not capable of that much working out due to all the autoimmune issues. Not her fault for not knowing, but one of those things you live and learn. So I put on 45 pounds in less than 6 months. I really got into a very deep depression. Didn't know what to do because none of my clothes fit me. And I would sit in my closet and cry. I was so frustrated, changing my outfits, going up a size every couple weeks, and really feeling frustrated. When you come from a background where I was flipping tires and pushing cars and doing kettlebell, that just blew my mind. So luckily I used to live in Florida, and I have friends that live down there, and someone happened to mention, have you heard about Ideal Protein and see if it's in your area? And I was like, nope, never heard it. Looked it up. I found a clinic fairly close to me. And I started going, and I didn't have a great coach. She didn't do the program. She'd never done the diet, didn't understand it or how it worked. So I had a lot of self-learning while I went through that. I also have a child who's anaphylactic to food, so I was really familiar already with foods. And I began the program and rapidly started dropping weight when I had done every program out there, from Weight Watchers to Nutrisystem to you name it. I think I bought every book and every gadget, and you name it, I had ordered it. So when I started losing all the weight, I was amazed at how great I felt and the energy. And then it was, okay, so the cure here for me is food. I got to figure out how to live so that I can feel this vibrant all the time. And I really dove into research and understanding of what makes me work well. So I phased myself off, and in the process, the woman I was doing the program through said to me, I don't want to do this anymore. I've been doing this for 4 years. Her and I had become friends. She's a great, great physician, but just not cut out for this program. So I coached out the last couple people, including myself. And I kind of fell in love with it. I'm so sorry, my dog.
It's okay, don't worry, keep going.
So I fell in love with the program, fell in love with coaching people out, never thought I was going to go back to work. And I said to my husband, I'm just going to do it part-time. So I met with Ideal Protein, and I opened the clinic, and I now work full-time. I have 2 other coaches. I have a wonderful administrative person who runs our store. So it's turned into a lot more, but I couldn't be happier, and I love what I do every day. And I couldn't ask for anything more than that.
That's amazing. And I think, one of the things, one huge takeaway, and one of the things I see so often on all of the different forums that I belong to, or groups that I belong to in different social media areas, is that people say, my coach said this, or I have a terrible coach, or what have you. People, it's just like having a doctor. Just keep looking for the next one until you find the one that connects with you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make the diet bad. It just makes it that you didn't connect with the right person. It's like going to, a therapist. If you don't connect, they're not going to be able to help you. And in our own way, we're not therapists, but, there's some therapy going on here as we become, very close to each other. So I think it's a good point to know that there's amazing coaches out there, and sometimes we just don't connect with a coach. I have people in my clinic that adore me and don't like my partner, and vice versa, and we laugh about it. So it's really that connection. Don't give up on yourself just because you don't think that you have a great coach, because there's great coaches out there. So on that note, again, if you have just come onto the broadcast, please share, please like, please send us your hearts and tell us where you're from. Are you a dieter? Are you new? Are you just thinking about doing the program? Send us your questions and your comments. Today is sugar addiction, one of the biggest subjects. Okay, so we are going to start here. Have you had an issue with sugar or felt you were addicted to it?
Yeah.
Susan's going to talk about that.
I definitely, sugar was probably one of my biggest problems. On the outside, I could recognize it in some ways. I was lazy enough to keep a drawer full of candy in my nightstand so I didn't have to get up out of bed, I guess. I know that I had candy stashed in a lot of cupboards in my house. At one point, I would keep giant, like almost Halloween bags of candy in the house on a regular basis. That wasn't the greatest thing for me to do, having two young girls at the time. Created a little bit of problem, not only for myself, but for others in my house. What I did recognize, though, was there were also a lot of foods in my life that were sugar, and I didn't recognize it. So, I think you can look at one thing and say, it's so obvious. And then there's other things where they're not. And
I think also is that we haven't been educated, and I know there's some facts out there, like in the 1950s, people ate 5 pounds of sugar, and now we eat like 135 pounds of sugar a year. The way that food has been engineered, it all turns to sugar in our system, which is what is causing type 2 diabetes in many people. It's causing our obesity epidemic, but it's also causing so much more in the way of brain issues and gut issues. Talk a little bit about those things and the things you've experienced in those areas.
I can tell you for me, and when I talk with other people on the program within our own clinic, that brain fog seems to lift once you start to detox. We all complain about brain fog. I was headed this way and I can't remember what I was doing, those kind of things. That is because of what we put into our bodies. We have to recognize that everything that goes in our mouth, on our skin, it feeds the cells, the tissues of the body. If it's all crap, we're going to feel like crap.
Yeah.
And the hardest part in doing that is, I think, society norms. It's very hard to be different. And sugar is a common bond. And this time of year is really bad because the muffins come out, the cookies come out, the hot cocoa comes out. Everybody's sending everybody homemade this, homemade that. It's really not the way we should do if we genuinely want to help each other. We got to find other ways to show love.
Absolutely. It's interesting. I had a client come in yesterday and I said, so how'd the holiday go for you? And she said, everything was great, except we had these friends come over and they had just gotten back from Hawaii and they had these Hawaiian macadamia nut cookies. And I said, no, you didn't really eat one, did you? And she was like, yeah, I did. And it was so not worth it. But we feel that peer pressure of someone gifting us something. They came special and they gave us this special item and we feel compelled to eat it. So, talk about that for a minute.
I think that's very true. I will give you an example. I had a client several months ago come in, and she was actually working with one of my coaches, but I could hear them from where they were. And she was telling her about this company that she had come into town, and they were staying for the weekend. And as a gift, they brought her this basket of cookies and chocolate covered nuts, and the basket list goes on and on and on. I could visibly hear the stress in her voice.
Totally.
And they knew she was trying to eat better. They knew she was trying to create a better situation for herself. Do I think that they did it out of sabotage? No, because I think most of us, people don't mean to sabotage. They do love you and they do care, but it might be something within themselves, their own personal issue that they choose to do that. And I think we need to find better ways to express love. I hear this comment over and over again in our monthly classes or on one-on-one sessions of, you know what? I have to bake because my children need it. No, they don't. We can come up with healthier ways. They have so much more of an issue with this than we do because their food is already 10 times more sugar than what we grew up on. And we had a lot more home-cooked meals. So creating a bigger problem for when they're 40. So I think that's part of it is we think love is sugar and it's not.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to answer, we have a couple of people here that have joined us. Kim Woolley says, hi ladies, watching from Delton, Michigan, joined this clinic June 23 in phase 2. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. That is so cool. So remember, when you comment yes, we are going to send you our tips for special occasions. So make sure you do that.
Because Kim, I want to give a shout out to Kim because Kim's done an amazing job. And Kim also had autoimmune issues the way I did and is finally pain-free. And I cannot tell you, I mean, she followed to a T, she never swayed, and she continues to be really true to herself. And so I have to say, yay, Kim.
Yeah, that's incredible. You know, nutrition is everything, and quite honestly, I've never told my story. One of these days I will, but I also have autoimmune system issues in the form of Lyme's, and I had terrible mercury toxicity. I ended up in bed for a long time. So someday we'll talk about that, but not today. So Kelly, Kim said, thank you. Kelly, Thomas Pointer says, sugar addiction is huge. Does it ever go away?
Well, I think my personal feeling on it is this. It's all up to us individually. When you take sugar out of your diet, and it doesn't mean every day, but the majority, you have to keep it out, right? Right. You lose that taste for it. I used to love it. And now I don't like to sweeten things with sugar. It's too sweet. I found lots of substitutions. I use a lot more natural products to sweeten, and not honey and guave, because those are a lot of sugar too. You have to be careful. And we all tend to lean sweet. If, you know, one of the first things people will say to me is, I'm eating healthy because I'm making smoothies. Well, the majority of smoothie is fruit and sugar, and they're using peanut butter. And so they're still looking for those ways. And I think really you have to decide for yourself to stay in the fight. Honestly, the one thing I would tell anybody and everybody who's wanting weight loss, wanting health, stop looking for the gadget. Stop looking for the magic pill person. Nothing is going to change until you change yourself. And you have to keep that power in you. As coaches, we are here. We will support you, no judgment, ever.
Absolutely.
But you have to come clean with who you are and your habits, because if you don't change, you won't be successful, because you will go back. For me, one of the things that I say to a lot of people when I bring them on at the clinic is, today you have to break up with who you are, because you're going to go back to who you were, and you don't want to. So, and that's a really hard thing to do, to change habits that have been there for 20 years, but it's possible if you stay mindful.
And it's also really, you know, I call it actually breaking up with your best friend, because sugar, carbs, comfort foods, whatever you want to call them, all of that's metabolizing to sugar, and we are addicted to it. And I've actually had people sit in my chair talking to me, start crying, that they were breaking up with their best friend, with food. They're breaking up with those things they you know, are so connected to. And I think, you know, that's a really good point, is it's okay. You have to be willing to make that change. And just like you said, We're not here to judge you. We're here to support you. And we've been through it. We've been through it. You know, the minute I start eating sugar, I start craving sugar. And so, you know, being able to get off the train and move forward is so essential and is going to make such a big difference. All right, so talking about recognizing foods that are filled with sugar other than sugar foods. Let's talk about that.
You know, I think people don't recognize, you know, I have people say, oh, sugar's not my issue, but bread is. Well, bread ultimately is sugar. So really it is. Or no, I don't have an issue with that, because we identify sugar as candy or baked goods, brownies. No, not necessarily crackers. A lot of your chips. I had somebody bring me, and I actually teach a class on the naked drinks. Have you ever looked at the naked drink that's supposed to be so healthy and vibrant? It's got 56 carbs in it, in that one little bottle. And all of the carbs come from sugar. It's as bad as a Coke. And people don't recognize because they look at the label and it looks good because it's all green fruits, but it's just too much natural sugars. So I think we have to get really mindful of that. And in 2018, the new labeling goes into effect, which will be great, because it's going to now state on the labels what is added sugar, because we haven't seen that before. So we will see a large carb, but maybe only 12 grams of sugar, but that's not truly what the amount of sugar that's in there. They don't have to label everything right now.
Right, because all the carbs are metabolizing to sugar anyway.
Correct.
So if it says 56 carbs, it's pretty much all sugar.
Absolutely. And, you know, if you think about alcohol in the same way, I'm not a hater, sorry, but I know, because people always look at me and they're like, but wine, it's all sugar. It really just turns to sugar. And when you're drinking wine, even if it's a glass a night, that's a lot of sugar to be pouring into your system. And if you can let it go for a while and let your body heal itself, you might be able to add it back in, but maybe only one night on the weekend and only a glass or two, and not do more.
That's absolutely, you know, what I advise in maintenance. And it's what I do myself in maintenance. Because I really found, and some of it is a little bit of, as we age also, we suddenly, like, I used to be like, Chardonnay was my drink. And, you know, I would have 1 or 2 glasses, maybe 4 nights a week. And suddenly, you know, you're feeling bloaty, or it's just not settling with you anymore. If things are not feeling good when you have them, whether it's food or drink, it's not meant for you. It's not working. Your body's not processing it. Your gut is rejecting it. If you feel gassy, bloaty, there's so much to that. That's a message being sent to you. And sugar is one of the biggest culprits of creating bloat in our guts and just a lot of dysfunction in our bodies. And once we have that gut dysfunction, it just transfers out to every other place in our body. They call it our second brain. And again, that's a whole nother show, right? Okay, so let's talk about, how do we change our sugar addicted habits?
You know, I think there's a lot of different things that you can do. From essential oils, there's certain oils you can use, like grapefruit and peppermint, that you can put into, make sure they're ones that you can ingest, but you can put those in to waters and help yourself. Eating lots of fiber, which most of us don't do because we don't like vegetables as much as we like the other things. Fiber is a really good thing. That's why when you're on protocol, you cannot skip those 4 cups of vegetables a day. Even if you take it down, you can get hungry. It keeps you regular too, which is a bonus. But that fiber really does cut the cravings. And one of the things that is, when you're on protocol, that is a huge thing that you can do for yourself, which is my little secret that I share with everyone. If you have fermented sauerkraut and you keep it in your refrigerator, I'm not talking canned, I'm talking the raw fermented that has to be in a refrigerator. If every time, and most of us crave it at night, you just get up and take one bite of that fermented sauerkraut, you're going to help that really good gut bacteria, but it's going to kill that craving for you.
Really?
It changes everything. And eventually you learn to actually kind of crave the sauerkraut a little bit, because I do like it. And one of the things that I think people have to keep in mind, though, when they do it is when you take a bite out of a fermented food that's in your refrigerator, take it out and put it into something, never double dip. I know we have a tendency sometimes to do that, but those bacteria from your mouth will multiply in the jar because it's fermenting. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure you put it in a bowl or on the spoon and then cap it and put it away before you actually take that bite. But that has helped. I know I got one of my coaches on doing it, and she agrees with me. It totally kills that craving. It's that soury kind of taste that makes it go away.
That's good information. I love that tip. So before we go on with any more tips, I just wanted to say hello. If you just come on the broadcast, be sure to share the broadcast, like it, send us your hearts and love, and most of all, tell us where you're from. Even if you're in replay mode, send us, tell us where you're from. Are you a diet? Are you in phase 1? Are you in maintenance? Are you just interested in sugar addiction as a whole? Because it's a big, big subject. Okay, so let's talk about the keys to maintaining your health.
Well, I think when you go, we have to separate between when you're on protocol and when you're not. On protocol, you have a very perfect outline of what to do. So you know, if you want to get to those places and maintain that sugar, don't skip your products, don't skip your veggies, drink your water, all of those things. And for most of you who don't recognize, that omega-3 really helps with craving the sugar. It keeps those cravings down by getting enough oils and fats in your body. You, again, benefit, lubricate your insides so you have a good bowel movement. But it is also important to be able to keep that inflammation down, which keeps your energy up. So on protocol, those are some of the things I would tell that will take you down that path of good health. When you're going into a maintenance phase, and again, as we were stating earlier, this is all individual. You have to be in tune, and you have to take the time to learn. At my clinic, and I know we all do it different because we're not a franchise and have the same policies, I have a 6-month program that we developed that we teach people for free as they come off our clinic, because I want them to understand how not to yo-yo diet, how not to go back and forth. It's up to the person to commit to their health, because there is no end game. There's no destination you're going to. This is a journey that you have to be on forever. You're going to fall, you're going to get back up, but you just stay on that path. And one of the things that has to come into your diet for good health are good quality fats. We need to add those back in. We don't eat enough fish. We don't have a lot of people eating the avocados that they should do, or using grass-fed beef. The ratios on grass-fed versus conventional are very different. And grass-fed is a much better quality fat. Again, all of those keep you full and make you feel satisfied. If you have all of those things and you're filling yourself with those really good nutrients, you're not going to be hungry. You don't hear people who eat really well going, man, I crave broccoli. You don't really crave. When your body has the nutrients, it's good. And you don't worry about all of those things. So to me, that would be the best advice is, your food has to be full of nutrients. You have to know you're feeding your tissues and cells, not your pleasure zone. Your pleasure zone, is always going to be triggered by, and what's the line they say, that sugar's as bad as cocaine.
It is.
It truly is. So the minute you start letting it back in, it's going to start tapping you on the shoulder and calling your name. And it's a vicious cycle. And for me, I just really want people to remember, you have to stay in it. there is no magic to keeping the weight off. And when I hear people say things like, yeah, but I did this program and then I gained my weight back, we have to take that responsibility. Those were choices we made to let foods back in that we knew we probably shouldn't have been eating. I've done it myself. And there's times that I'll give you a quick story on my own demon of sugar. And this happened just a few months ago, that I was, had a bag of the cheddar caramel popcorn, which I didn't even think I would like because I thought it was a gross combination. Little did I know I actually love it. And I ate the entire bag. I was so angry with myself that I did that I literally out loud, every time I went by that bag in the grocery store for the next probably 2 to 3 months, I would look at that bag and I would say, I don't have permission to buy you because I can't control it. So I did not. It ended up that I finally looked at it when I don't even want it anymore. But I found the more I talk out loud, the more I hear it, the more it becomes a part of who I am. What you think and what you say can become your belief. And so I stopped eating it. And then I decided to try it again. And I bought the little bags. And I only ate them. And I was pretty happy. And the other day I thought, I'm starting to crave a little sugar. I grabbed it all and threw it all in the garbage. And people may think, that's crazy. But I don't. If I feel like I might be getting out of control, I get it out of my house, because if it's in your house, you are going to eat it. There's just no way to avoid it.
Absolutely. So I have a few other things I want to talk to you about, but before we go on, let's. Alex says sauerkraut works every time for her, so that's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Remember, everybody, tell us where you're from. We want to know where you're coming from around the United States, Canada, the world, wherever you're at. And remember, when you comment yes, if you want to receive our special occasion tips guide, all you have to do is comment yes in the comment section. And it's going to automatically come to you, a great ebook on all kinds of special occasions, how to avoid sugar and entrapment everywhere at anniversaries, vacations, parties. There's no good time, like I said, to start changing your life. And really, this is a lifestyle. This is not a diet. I know we call it a diet, we call it a protocol, but really the end result is, if you want to maintain your weight, you have to change your life. You have to change every habit that you have. Throw the old out, in with the new. And 2018 is coming. A lot of people like to use the start of the year to start, but I just say, just keep going. Just change your life today, because that's when things will change for you. And so I want to say hello to Tracy. Tracy's awesome. She's always sharing great information. In fact, this morning she shared a new article that is an article they've done on breast cancer, and actually with the Ideal Protein Protocol. And it's exciting stuff, because we have a scientific protocol. We are, they're now studying our program and seeing how it changes even things like cancer. So we know that it gets, it helps with obesity, and we can help you get off meds, and a lot of things will happen as we work together with your physician. So, all right. So what I wanted to ask you is, what are as you bring in someone new and they are, they're drinking sodas, even if they're diet sodas, we know that turns to sugar in our systems and processes like sugar. How do you work with someone that is fully addicted to sugar? Give us like a few tips on where to start, what to do. How did you do one thing a week? Do you do it all at once? What do you suggest?
I think trying to do too much at one time is too hard. So a lot of times, if you have somebody who is a Diet Coke drinker, who I was in my previous life, I was a 2-gallon-a-day girl. It was disgusting. I can't believe I did it, but I did. And I walked away from it. I think you have to figure out what ultimately you want to do first. So a lot of times I'll tell people, just get into the program and detox and cut down. If you drink diet soda every day, let's try to go to every other day or one a day until we can get to every other, and wean yourself off of that. The idea that you could quit smoking, lose weight, drop a pop habit and all these things, it's too much, and most of us will cave. I think the biggest thing to remember is no matter what, we are always restricted in our life, right? So whether it's an addiction to Diet Coke, an addiction to food, an addiction to cigarettes, we already stop ourselves from doing so many. And we have to stop that idea when we start this kind of a change of, this is going to lead to ultimately freedom. So we have to think of it that way, as not restricted. You're just temporarily cutting things out of your life because you're choosing to get healthier, because those are choices you want to do, not because you're feeling forced to. And when you get to that point of, this is what I want in my life, it starts to become easier. But if you bring it back in, if you allow yourself, for an example, over the holidays, and you say, no, I'm just going to have a piece of pie at Thanksgiving, you will re-trigger all of those cravings again. So the question again goes back. There are the tricks of drinking water, adding a little lemon. Apple cider vinegar is a fantastic thing to put in your water that helps with sugar cravings. But ultimately, it is through your own choices, and you have to be able to say, nope, I have a real problem. I just can't do it. And I know we all want the quick fix, and we don't really want to put the burden back on ourselves. I've been there. I can tell you a time period in my life, I think about 4 years, I was pretty angry. I didn't want food to be the problem because I really loved my bagel and cream cheese and Diet Coke for breakfast. Yep. So it ultimately, again, there's no magic. It's all about the power within. But if there's one thing I can say that I think people have to really begin, when you begin a program like ours or any lifestyle change, the first place you need to start is within yourself. You have to learn to love who you are and acknowledge that you are enough in any shape or form. And coming to that place lets those addictions go beyond, because you don't need them anymore. We need them to make ourselves feel better, right? That's why we do it. And then we feel terrible because we go and we take in those couple bites, and then we feel that high. And then we're like angry for the rest of the night, and we lay down and we beat ourselves up in bed saying, why did I do it? Yeah. And that part of it needs to go away. And what we don't recognize is we eat those foods, we get that high. Even let's take a workplace. I don't know why employers allow a lot of that in, because staff eats it all and then they crash. And then they got to cap up themselves either on more sugar or more caffeine, and then they crash. So it really is this cycle, and you ultimately want to pull it to a place where you don't have to do that and it feels better. So again, there's no magic to it, but it's just that consciousness, that mindfulness, and it can change if you're willing to make that change. Will it go away for good is up to you.
Do you think it ever goes away for good? Because it never goes away for good with me.
I think I think there's a lot of people who follow other programs who don't allow sugar at all. And I think if you literally cut it completely out of your life and you chose never to have it again, yeah, you could probably stay in that place. No, I went to Paris for my daughter's spring break, and there's a bakery on every corner. The chocolate is divine. And it took me 2 weeks when I came home to kick that all back out of my system. Yeah. So you just kind of cycle it. For me, I know I'm going to, at moments, I know I'm going to have things that aren't great. And that's human nature. And that's okay. Or I'm going to go out with friends, or I'm going to go on vacation, or I'm going to have a drink here and there. It's just that 80 to 90% of your day, week, month needs to be good. The rest of it, you can have those moments and still maintain a healthy lifestyle. And even on program, I think it's possible. We have a lot of products that cover that. But when you're eating those products, you also have to think about when you phase off, who are you going to be? If you like that vanilla crispy square, that's great. But you can't live on that vanilla crispy square. So it's not a healthy habit. So for me, I want people to change that in the process of their phasing out with us. And what are we going to substitute that for that's a healthier choice for you long-term in life? I know
that's a really, really interesting point. So when you phase a client out, do you help them with menus? How do you find replacements for things? Because I think a lot of people end up going, well, I'm not going over to the Ideal Protein Clinic anymore, but this bar looks really good here at Trader Joe's or Whole Foods, and it's only got this many carbs in it, or this many sugars in it. And they start living on those instead, or protein drinks every day. Is it okay to have a meal replacement? I think it is. I'm on the run a lot, and I've had a meal replacement for the last, I don't know, even 25 years of my life. And that's, was part of keeping my weight off. But when, how many of those do you have per week? Like how do you coach that client?
Well, for me, it's okay to have a meal replacement here or there. I am a big proponent of I keep a bar in my glove box. I keep one in my purse. I don't ever want to be caught off guard and have to have something just because, or find an excuse to have something. I think that, if you like our product and it works for you, there's no problem in continuing to use it after you've phased off, especially if it's something that would keep you from another thing. But the reality is you really need to do, and I don't know, you can upload it to your ebook if you want, those handouts that I sent you. One of the things I think is important for people to understand is it's the nutrients in those foods, right? So you have to be able to have nutrient dense foods and understand why do you need a variety. Don't get stuck eating the same thing all the time. And if you want to do a smoothie in the morning, that's great, but you don't have to put a protein into it. You can do it through vegetables, and there's all kinds of ways. Avocado makes things yummy and creamy. You don't have to have even a yogurt. So there's lots of ways to do that. And we teach that as we go through. I have, I really am fortunate, Renee, because I have an amazing staff. The women I work with are rock stars in their own right. And we really have a love and bond for each other. We are all about lifting and supporting the healthy habits. And one of my coaches who works with me on the phase outs really has learned to love the kitchen, and she's amazing in coming up with things. So her and I spend a lot of time, even in night hours, texting and sharing ideas, and we come up with a lot of really good things for people. We will meal plan for them. We do a lot of recipes for people. We will write out grocery lists, talk about ways to prep, how to keep that routine of prepping and planning your week, because if you don't, then you tend to go off plan, and getting to a point where you're so hungry ends up making you fall off the wagon a lot.
Right.
So there's really, I think for us, the philosophy is use our product if you're going to supplement, because we know it works for your body. It's done well. The diet industry is not regulated. So you don't always know what you're getting in a product. And just because it's inexpensive doesn't mean it's real. Doesn't mean it has nutritional benefits. Ours do. So I think there's some things like that, and you can do that. But there's also easy, convenient things that we can teach you in different trail mixes and different ways to take things with you to always be prepared. And that is something we do when we work people out. I think the biggest struggle for people is, what do I eat now? Before, it's easy. Everything's laid out. I got a plan. I know what to do. So we want to do the same thing. And you need to listen to your body. You might add something back in that does not work with you. All of a sudden you're bloated, or your stomach hurts, or your face is puffy, or, some people try to go back to dairy and it just doesn't work for their body. So it's all.
Once I went on Ideal Protein, and you know what? Years ago, I had a chiropractor tell me, he's like, your neck keeps going out because you drink dairy. And I was like, yeah, right. And then I got rid of my non-fat dairy, and he was right. My neck was fine. And so I thought that's just such a weird correlation. But when I finally cut out, so I didn't drink milk, so I thought that was dairy.
Right.
But what I still ate a lot of was cheese, which I love.
Right.
But the bottom line was, once I went on Ideal, and also once I got super sick, I realized dairy does not work for me. And once I got rid of it totally, I don't crave it anymore because I know how it's going to make me feel. So, you know, that's part of the sugar addiction process, is making that firm decision that you don't want to feel crappy anymore. You want to feel like you did when you were 25. Great energy. Your mind is working. You're excited about waking up every day instead of waking up like, oh my God, do I really have to get up right now? And dragging yourself around all day. So, all right. So we're going to be wrapping up our broadcast. Thank you, everybody, for coming on board. Remember, I put up a little comment there. If you type in variety in the comment section, I'm going to send you Tracy's tip sheets that she was just talking about. So just type in variety. If you type in yes, you're going to get our tips for special occasions. And to wrap it up, Susan, give us any more tidbits of information on sugar addiction, on just going through the holidays. Tell us what, anything that you have left to tell us.
You know, I would tell you the biggest thing is, don't give yourself permission to cheat on yourself. Don't think that there's any cookie or pie or fudge or anything that's worth it, because it's truly not. In the end, you'll just feel defeated and frustrated, and it's not worth it. The best thing you can do is figure out before you get off program, if you are on program, the question I ask all of our dieters is, who do you want to be? When you're all said and done, are you going to be a person who eats sugar on a regular basis? Because if you aren't, don't start tampering with it. Too many people, as they phase off the program, want to add that back in. And then the minute they do, they lose control. And quickly you can go from, oh, I'm only 5 pounds up to I'm 10 pounds up. And never go over a 10-pound goal. Don't let yourself go to where you have to lose 20 pounds again, because it gets defeating. We're all going to vary 5 to 8 pounds. You just have to learn how to tweak that and be able to play with it. Again, there's no magic to sugar, but if you use the apple cider vinegar in your water, and if you're taking your bites of your sauerkraut and you're getting rid of that yeast overgrowth that can happen in that gut, that too will help. You won't crave it as much, but it's all here. Everything about it is here. We have to change the way we think. We have to change sometimes even the surroundings that we have, and letting people know it's just not okay. If I was a vegetarian and you tried to serve me dinner and it was chicken, I just would say no. The rest of us have to feel okay in saying no to protect our own health. And
that is that's a whole subject unto itself, is learning to say no.
And very true.
Okay, so I do want to let you guys know that our next show is going to be with Rosemary. You guys have seen Rose on for a couple. Actually, I met Susan through Rose, and we are going to be talking about, and this is next week, next Thursday, we are going to be talking about all of those people that we call haters. The people that pretend they're supporting you, but are actually sabotaging you with those little comments, you know, the little backhanded to your one side and then to your other, and how to gather your support system together, how to create that support system among your friends and family. So that's going to be next week. I just want to say thank you to everyone that's come on board. And if you're watching the replay, again, type yes, type variety, give us your likes, tell us where you're from. Tell us, are you a dieter? Are you in phase 1 maintenance? Are you thinking about coming on? Because we're going to still answer your questions. So this is an active broadcast, whether it's in replay or live. And Susan, I want to say thank you so much for coming on my show And I will definitely be having Susan back. She's a wealth of information, and super excited to have been able to share all of this information on sugar addiction with you today. So, all right, you guys, say goodbye to Susan, and we will see you soon.